Coach, dramatic win there, 6-3 over Kansas on a special night there. Just talk about this whole night overall.
Yeah, we love to represent something that's bigger than the game and ourselves. And for us, this is really special. I know Ashley Griffin's mom got to throw out the first pitch, um, and so that means something really special to us. But now getting back to just how we played, I thought Kansas is a very good team. They're solid. They've got good hitting, defense, pitching, you name it. And so, for them to put those runs up on us early and then us to just chip away and stick to the process is really proud of our team for doing that. So, and I thought Issa got better as the game went on.
What did you think of how your team responded in a game like this with so much on the line with this series?
Yeah, I think that, we had some moments where we could have been better. We need to work on getting the bunt down when we need to get the bunt down. But, this is a tough game. And not just this one single game. The game of softball is tough. And so I think it's just understanding, like, one person may not have that night. And, Yarny coming up big for us at the end there. But our slappers at the bottom of the lineup, I talked to them. I said, hey, you guys are good matchups. Let's take some pressure off of the righty hitters, get us back in this game, and then they'll take over from there. And they just stick to that process and that plan and getting bunts down like we asked of them, and just playing station to station. It was really exciting to see us play like that. We haven't had to do it often, and against a solid team like Kansas, like, it was required.
With how it's gone against Big 12 opponents here this season, how big was it to pull out a win like this against a team like this?
Yeah, huge. We all know that we're fighting big time for, to get into the conference tournament, number one. Like, that's something new for the Big 12. And then, to get at-large bids, regional rankings, the RPI, like, it's all coming down to the end. And so these matchups are so important. And I said it before, like, we're fighting for a hosting, to get into position to host. And we've got some work to do, so we got to keep going.
Bottom of the order came up Zoe Calvis with the RBI hit up the middle. And then Samantha Ray once again with the RBI to tie the game up in the 6th inning. She gets the bunt down to set up that 8th inning. Just talk about those two, really, because they helped you win this game tonight from the bottom of the order.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly what we asked. I know there's been a lot of pressure on our righty hitters to just perform, and they've done such a great job this year with the amount of power they've had. But that's not sustainable every single game, especially against dominant pitching. And so we just talked to the lefties today, like I said, and I said, hey guys, you're gonna get us back in this game. Just chip away, and get the bat back into our righties' hands so that they can take it from there. So. And they did just that. And, Zoe coming up big in that last inning for us. And, it's tough. But, again, I don't want to be a pitcher facing our, Aubrey Evans, Izzy Mertez, Yarny. Then we've got Damon. I don't want to be a pitcher facing those guys. So they need to understand that as hitters, that even if they're not feeling their best or feeling uncomfortable, they're still tough outs. And when they're clumped together like that, it's not fun for any pitching staff. So the more we recognize that, and like you said, the bottom of the lineup produces, it's going to be really big for us.
Darnell hits the walk-off home run, fitting, of course, the Kansas native, but also sets the team's single season home run record, broken on that home run now for this team now. They've broke the 2021 team home run mark, very fitting on the walk-up. But Kendall going again in Kansas native against the Jayhawks, delivers again.
Yeah, no, it's exciting stuff. I mean, obviously, like, we train to hit gap-to-gap balls, and then the home run is just a byproduct of that training. And she put a good swing on a good pitch, stayed above the ball like we'd asked, and good things happen when you take the amount of swings that she did on the pitches she was looking for.
You talked about Issa having to go the distance, not exactly ideal from an inning standpoint, but can you elaborate a little bit about what you like from her in that or late extra inning stages?
Yeah, I mean, she started the game off 1-2-3. Was it 1-2-3?
Yep.
Yeah, 1-2-3. And then, she had a lot of success against them last year. So I knew that they were going to come out, with a approach and a plan of hunting her and kind of trying to knock her out of the game. And they're a feisty team. They're a gritty team. So, but at the same time, Issa knew that some of the pitches that they were hitting, they weren't her sharpest. And so to see her develop and grow that ability to get better as the game goes on, to adapt with those hitters is huge. And it's going to be required the deeper we go into season.
What does this team now need to do to keep the momentum going and get a series win?
Yeah, well, if we think that they're just going to, hand it to us after that game, they're not. They're going to still be hungry. They're fighting for all the same things that we're fighting for, getting into the conference tournament, finishing with a high finish in our conference series or in our rankings. And, again, like talking about getting into regionals, we're all top RPI teams. And I think what's so great about the Big 12 is we have, 5 to 7 teams that can get in this year. And so we just got to do our part to keep going with that because it's going to be really big for our conference.
All good?
Yeah. I'll just talk about, too, like the 2021 season with all of those home runs, seniors. And that was a very senior-driven team. And so I'm really proud of how quickly these young hitters, along with some of our older hitters, are just really buying into the process and the system of what we're doing offensively with Coach Sanders. And, and it goes into our pitchers that are throwing live and all of that. So what an accomplishment by such a young group. And, we'll keep going. So.
Well, and that 21 and 22 team obviously helped build the program's interest and popularity. Lively crowd here tonight on a Friday night on senior weekend.
Yeah, no, the fan base was amazing, and when we walked it off, like I could feel the energy from our team, but most importantly from the fans. And like Night Nation was awesome tonight. They stuck it out. And I know like we started off a little bit slow, but we got after it, and kudos to them for keeping the energy going for us. Thank you guys.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.